is actually called the Spring of the Stars. And they call this one the Spring of the Stars for all the movie stars that made movies here. Stars like Jane Russell, James Dean, Jerry Lewis, Johnny Weissmuller from Tarzan. Now the spring is right underneath us right now. Now if you folks can see that the big flat rock there? The water's coming towards me right here. That spring is 28 feet deep right there. And that one puts out 500,000 gallons a day. Now folks, the next spring we're going to look at is called the Creature Spring. And this is where they made that movie, The Creature from the Black Lagoon. Return of the Creature from the Black Lagoon. And a creature walks among us. Now you can see that split in the rock there. That's where the creature would go down in there. That was his cave. And he was about 5 foot tall, but he could hold his breath for over 4 minutes. And he would go right down there in that crack, and when something came swimming by, he would jump out and get him. I can't scare anybody on this boat. So that spring's about 30 feet deep.
Oh.
And that one puts out over 1 million gallons a day. Folks, there used to be a spring over to my right here, and it was called the Abyss. But that spring has recently caved in. And another one has started popping up over here. And they're calling this one the Popcorn Spring. When one of these springs caves in, the water has to go somewhere. So the water started popping up over here. You'll see it right up top. But it is pretty cool. There it is right there. It's different, isn't it? At least you can see the water coming. The Popcorn Spring.
Yeah, popcorn.
Now that grass that you see underneath the boat there, that's called eel grass or ripping grass. And that's what the manatees eat. They love that grass. They'll eat about 200 pounds of that grass every day. Now, a lot of people think manatees are fat. Manatees only have 3 to 5% body fat on them. That's why when it gets cold in the wintertime, they always come up here because it's always 72 degrees. And there it is. Now they took this piece of wood out of the water and they took it to the University of Florida to study it. And they said that it's 600 years old. And it's a canoe from the Tamaqua Indians. So when they were done looking at it, they said, well, we're going to take this canoe and we're going to put it into the Museum of Natural History. And the state park told me, they said, no, you're not. You're going to put it right back down there where you found it. So they put it right back down there. And supposedly they put it back down there within 1/8 of an inch of where it was before.
That's crazy.
Now they said it's probably a ceremonial canoe because it's actually about 30 feet long. 600 years old. Now the Tamaqua Indians, they were here before the Seminoles. They need to get down there and clean that thing off. It's getting a little hard to find, all that green stuff on it. They also took those rocks and studied them, and they said that they were just rocks. Down there. Now, folks, the next spring we're going to look at is called the Blue Grotto. Now, the Blue Grotto is what's considered to be a first magnitude spring. Now, to be a first magnitude spring, the spring actually has to put out at least 65 million gallons a day. This particular spring puts out 87 million gallons a day. Ladies and gentlemen, coming up under the boat, I give you the Blue Grotto. Now, as we're drifting over top of it, look down there. You might see a little bit of a swirl down there between the rocks. Now, when the Native Indians when they first found these springs, they thought they saw silver down there. And that's how the place got its name, Silver Springs. Now, when they first started to develop down here in Florida, they were like, okay, let's drain off all the wetlands and let's fill it in with dirt and build houses and stuff like that. But they quickly realized that was not a good idea. So now the biggest and most expensive environmental restoration project going on in the world today is going on right here in Florida between Lake Okeechobee and the Florida Everglades. So they're trying to bring everything back to as natural as they can. So good for the state of Florida. Isn't that pretty? I love the way the sun shines on this. That spring's 35 feet deep. Now there's 33 of these first magnitude springs in the state of Florida, which is more than anywhere else on the whole planet. So we're very lucky to have all these springs. Actually, the state of Florida gets over 90% of the water that they use in the state from springs. There's about 1,000 springs in the state of Florida, and they're putting out around 7 billion gallons a day. So that covers residential, commercial, and agricultural use. Pretty good, isn't it? That's a lot of water. The large base on them. Those trees are called bald cypress. Now, the bald cypress is some of the oldest trees you'll find on the planet. They did a core sample of a bald cypress tree in North Carolina, and when they examined it, they said, wow, this tree is from 650 BC, and the tree was still alive. Yeah, yeah, they probably do.
They don't listen to the weather.
No, you're right, sir.
They got power to listen.
That's right. 50-50 chance, right? So, folks, coming up, there's a tree in here that fell down in the water, a bald cypress tree, and it's been there for 200 years now. But what I want to show you guys is what's underneath this tree. There's a boat underneath this tree. Back in the late 1800s, there was a couple boys. One was 14 and one was 16. And they decided they were going to cut a hole in the bottom of their rowboat and put a piece of glass in there and start taking people out on the river for 25 cents. Now, if you folks look underneath the boat here, you're going to start to see this boat. Now that boat's actually dated 1890s.
Oh,
Yeah.
1890.
So leave it to a couple young boys to invent the glass bottom boat, huh? I think that's pretty cool.
This is the boat.
Now as I'm backing up, you guys keep your eye on the bottom. You'll probably see a few more springs now. It's going to look like a big black hole. Okay, there's one over there. You can see the water coming out of it. Like I said, sometimes there is an alligator back there in the back, but I don't see him. I was hoping to see him. Now, folks, back in 1938, there was a guy that worked at the park here. His name was Colonel Toohey. Well, Colonel Toohey decided he was going to buy some monkeys and put them on an island down the river here. So he bought 12 Reese's Macaque monkeys from upstate New York. And the next day, when everyone paid their money to go see the monkeys, they were all gone. They had all jumped in the water and swam away. So now there's over 600 monkeys in the park here. And they've actually been spotted as far north as Jacksonville.